we're just going to do a little bit of human conversation here. Emily, we talked a little bit about who you are, which is a TV writer, a comedian, show producer, any other adjectives?
No, that's it.
Soon to be wife, folks.
Oh.
One really interesting thing you did in 2018 was commit to getting rejected 100 times. It was covered in the New York Times. Very cool. And you made it to your goal, which was to get 100 professional rejections, and you succeeded. Looking back on that now, how do you feel about it? That's very cool.
I actually got 107 in the end, which is a real lot of rejections. I feel great. I actually really miss it because even though it was like a really crazy year of collecting rejections and feeling like crap a lot of the time, it really gave me a purpose. And doesn't it feel so good to just have a purpose in life? And this year I've been trying to like work on longer projects and take very deliberate, thoughtful next steps and also plan my wedding. And I feel totally untethered because having, like doing quick projects where you're submitting articles and you're doing all these pitches and you have so much going on, it makes you feel like you're moving forward and it was great. And it can't go on forever. Like it's not tenable.
Do you feel like you can face more because like you're like rejection? I've done 107 of these before.
Yeah, sort of. Yes and no. I mean, a little bit for sure. It like steeled me. But also I think if you care about something, it's gonna hurt, Like I've been writing for weeks, like a submission that I'm gonna send to the New Yorker. And even though I got published there last year, I'm so nervous and I'm still nervous. And because I put my heart and soul into it and they could say no very easily. So, yeah, I think it steeled me, but it also mostly just my favorite thing is that it allowed me to talk about rejection and to hear other people's rejections and to realize that it's not me and I'm not a horrible loser. I mean, we all are horrible losers, which makes nobody a horrible loser, you know?
Well, I recently ran into a statistic and I'm probably going to misquote it a bit here, but I've been looking for a job for a while. I'm not trying that hard because, I want to do my own independent projects. I'm having the time of my life, folks. But I found the statistic online. It was like something like 110 resumes and like 10 interviews is the average for someone to get a job. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then I just started viewing this as like, oh, well, I just have to get my numbers there because they were nowhere near that. My like interview 4.
Right. It's all about getting the numbers up. I mean, sort of. I mean, it's also like you can't just, you're not going to go apply to be an astronaut tomorrow and hope that you can get it. So it's about like reaching a little bit like for the things that like you may or may not be qualified for, but also not being ridiculous, which on the other end of that, as somebody who produces comedy, it's very annoying when somebody's like, I did an open mic. Now can I be on your show that you work tirelessly to promote? And I'm like, no, leave me alone. Don't drag me into your dream. You're not there yet, So I think you have to be realistic. It's hard. You got to stretch, but also like don't put your problems on other people.
So one quote really struck with me in your article, really struck me with its honesty. You said, quote, over the summer, 2 of my best friends in my field realized some of their professional dreams. I was thrilled for them, but well, the but. Alone, I got so jealous that I lay on my apartment floor and cried until a line of cry drool wrapped around my colossal quivering head. Then I felt guilty for being jealous and cried about that. I want to say I love the honesty here. A thing I notice about when people post, when they judge, I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand that it's okay to have a bad impulse and that there's a big difference between like what you initially feel and how you act on those feelings. For instance, it's okay to be jealous of your friends. That's normal. That doesn't mean you're evil.
No, totally. And that does like really resonate with, I think, a lot of the am I the assholes questions out there. It's crazy.
Right. Like people will ask like, oh, am I an asshole for having this or that thought?
No.
And the answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no, because our brains are, have you seen the internet? The human brain is not a perfect machine. Gosh, it's so cool being able to write that because then it led to a conversation with one of my friends that I was jealous of. And she was like, were you writing about me? And I was like, yeah, of course. And she was like, oh, and she was like, I didn't even realize you were going through that. And we had like a really lovely conversation. So owning up to it and then like being able to, I don't know, just express it in like a clear way of being like vulnerable and a little embarrassed to express it is like has been so wonderful and helpful.
Do you feel like, I mean, I'm sitting here now telling you like been there, done that so many times, like literally that same cycle. I mean, I found it very validating to read this because I was like, I've definitely felt this exact thing, like been very jealous of my friends and then been like, oh, what am I, some kind of monster? So like reading this, I was like, oh my God, look, this is a very common thing.
Mm-hmm. It's super common. It's amazing to me at people that I admire and I would kill for their career have this same feeling and have told me since publishing this article that they have the same feelings about people above them, and it never ends. It's never going to end. Like the only thing you can do is deal with it from the inside because you will never get there. So it's kind of validating in that way and like comforting in a way to know like, oh, this cycle of shit is never going to end. The only thing I can change is me.
I kind of default to hostile. Like I want to tear people down because I'm insecure. And I have to be
love it.
You know, I have to be like, don't do that. There's no need to do that.
Yeah, but it's so fun.
It is fun. But I try to suppress it as much as possible because I want to be a positive person and I want to see the good in things. You know, nobody likes a complainer, essentially. Do you think there's something to be said about not vocalizing some of these thoughts that we have and negative things, or like feelings of jealousy, like this need to take others down and to put other achievements down?
I mean, I think feeling jealous and saying, oh, I feel jealous, and telling the appropriate person rather than the person that you're jealous of. Because like, think about it. Like, let's say you got a TV show and they didn't, in my, all the pitches that I have out there did not get to, and I was like, I'm so jealous of you. That would make you feel like, oh, well, now I can't enjoy it around Emily. We can't like have a drink and like celebrate, you know? So like, I think just picking the people that you are honest with is really important. And then finding it in yourself to be like, but you are happy for Danny's TV show, you know? And being like, Danny, I'm so happy for you.
Right. So you do think it's important to get these ideas out and like to tell somebody?
Well, it's so complicated for me because I'm finding success talking about my sadness and feeling inadequate. So I'm having a really weird experience right now where people are like, oh, cool. Yeah, we're interested in your other ideas, but what do you want to do with all of this sadness and failure that you have?
And you mean regarding the rejections?
Regarding the rejections. So like, it's funny. Like, so now as 2019 has come around, the opportunities that I have are, you know, people are interested in other things, other ideas, totally unrelated ideas, but mostly they want to hear about rejection. So it's a really confusing thing to be finding success in literally talking about failure.
It's kind of beautiful though, especially now when there's so many like books about success, and I think your take is refreshing, enjoying the rejections.
It's easy for me to say when people are like, I love your rejection thing. Then I'm like, cool, rejection is now a comfortable place for me. And it's also, I think like as a woman especially, it's hard to feel like justified calling yourself an expert in anything. And this has, you know, people have been like, okay, give a talk. I've been giving talks on failure and rejection. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to be an expert on anything, I'm most comfortable being an expert on being terrible. So it's like a very comfortable place for me to be as a self-conscious woman who doesn't feel entitled to anything, you know?
I think what might be really powerful about the rejection stuff is that it's super relatable and people feel like they can really connect with it. And I think connection now, it seems so available, but it's really not.
It's so not. That's why I love this podcast, because we all get our blood boiling in the same way. Even if we're not coming out exactly the same on who's the asshole, we're still picturing these scenarios and we're all bonded in this just like anger inducing scenarios. It's just amazing. It's an amazing feeling. But I mean, most of what's out on social media is just mind numbing nonsense. And it's like alcohol, like it feels good in the moment and then depresses us later.
Right.
And so I think connection is like genuine, like healthy, good feeling.
Absolutely. It feels meaningful. It's something you can latch onto. It's something you can chew on, as I like to say. You can think about it and know that it's there. We're going to do a few games here. We're going to start with some Go Off. Our soon-to-be bride, 17 days, is it?
17 days.
Has chosen the topic for her Go Off rant, weddings that have cash bars. And don't we all hate that?
You would be surprised. Like, there's so many weddings that have cash bars, or just like an hour or two of white wine. And you're like, oh my God, I was waiting for the whiskey and the whiskey never came. And you're spending the whole wedding just thinking like, okay, I'm trying to like save myself for the good stuff that never comes and no one ever even says it's not coming. And then you just, and then you go up to the bar and then you realize, because you've been getting table service the whole time, and then you realize that there's only wine and beer and it is a cash ass bar if you want anything more. And I'm like, okay, I just gave you guys $200 worth of pots and I want a goddamn drink. And also, as somebody who's preparing for my wedding, I have not been drinking a lot, and you save up these days where you get to have whiskey and then there's no whiskey and then you have to have a beer that was $8. Oh my God, I'm
what
so
is this,
upset
Madison Square Garden? Go off!
Not gonna please everybody all the time, but you can get them so drunk that they forget.
Go
so
off.
that is it. If you're having a wedding, cut the number of people in half so that you can get the people that you really care about drunk, because that's the only thing we want, and it's the only way you'll ever get me onto the dance floor.
Go off.
More?
Whoa, that was
I think it's good.
incredible. That was
Okay.
incredible. Rant of the century. We're going to do a little round of asshole advocates. The asshole will be defending today with a series of what if statements. Is the asshole who doesn't pick up his dog's shit.
What if he ran out of bags?
What if the dog took a very tiny poop like a rabbit?
What if the dog took a very runny poop that no one will be able to pick up anyway?
What if the dog is going to eat its poop in just a few minutes?
What if the guy is going back home to get a bag and then it plans on coming back to scoop it up?
What if the dog has a litter box and, oh my God, all right, I'm out. I lost. All right, well, we're going to finish up with a round of era of assholes. We're going to do the Victorian era, which is an era I know almost nothing about. So
Same.
hopefully Emily will carry the team here.
Oh boy, okay.
What about the asshole who's like, my house is more ornate than all of the houses?
What about the asshole who's like, nobody can have sex? No one is allowed.
What about the asshole who's like, my painting is very old. It's so old. I don't know anything about the Victorian era.
What about the asshole who made women wear whale bones and break their bodies just to like fit into these crazy outfits?
What about the asshole who's like, everyone will wear clothes that makes them feel extremely hot all of the time?
That's a great one.
Is that a good one?
What about the asshole who did not think that women and people of color were people?
Is that Victorian?
Maybe that.
Is that
I think
where
it
that
was
came?
everybody until right now.
That's That's every era.
I think it's every era, unfortunately.
What about the asshole who's like, my name's Victor. How about we name this era after me?
That is
you
so
wanna let me have
great.
it?
Oh my God, I love that. That's my
You wanna
favorite
have
one. What about the asshole who's like, the only good way to go out of this house is in a wig, son?
Yeah. What about the asshole who was like, you know, it's a good look for men. A giant pile of white curls.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about the asshole who wears stockings and cropped pants? Oh boy, what are you, a baseball player in my sex dreams? Get out of here.
What about the asshole who's like, I'm going to go fly my kite and discover electricity? Huh?
Is that right?
You're crazy, Uncle Ben. That's not a fucking thing. You're a psycho. You're a psycho and you were wrong. It did not rain in February. You're a liar.
Isn't he like way after?
I don't know anything about anything.
Okay. How about
Are you going to keep me in? You're going to let me have it?
Sure.
All right.
Sure. The asshole who's like, I'm 72. I guess I'll just marry this 17-year-old.
I'm out. I'm really truly out. You won. Emily, tell all these people where to find you, any other information you want.
You can
for the
find me
folks.
at my wedding. You can find me on the internet. My website is called EmilyWinterComedy.com. I'm on Twitter at Emily MC Winter. That's it. I know it's weird. It's Emily MC Winter. It's that on Instagram and Twitter. And that's all. And I have a show called Side Ponytail. It's every Wednesday at Friends and Lovers in Crown Heights. I run it with some of my friends.
Incredible.
Thanks.
Well, it's been a joy having you. I can't say enough. You absolutely killed it.
Thank you. This was really fun. Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next Monday, everybody.